Good morning, this is Terry, and I'm here to bring you our block number 3 in our block of the month, brought to us by Marcus Fabrics in these beautiful batiks. Christopher is scanning our Radiant Reflection group that you will use this month, and he'll also show you the River Rock group that I'll be using today. And they are gorgeous fabrics again and wonderful to look at. The block is actually, let me find it up here on the quilt, get it in the right position for you. See if we can get it up high enough that you can see. There's our block. Another beautiful block done with half square triangles and some hourglasses. Before we start sewing, as a reminder, this time we're only going to do one large block, so you'll make some spacers. So here's one of our spacers, an hourglass, a simple little spacer with the squares, and then another spacer with hourglasses and the squares. And they'll be found in different places on the quilt. And one of the things that I do as a reminder, I mark all those that they came from block number 3, so that when we get to the end and do our final assembly, we know exactly where those came from, because our final assembly will tell us to take block 3 spacer and place it here, and our main block and place it here. So I mark all of those when I get done. With that as a reminder, we'll do our half square triangle, and once again I use my seam marker, I line it up and I mark it. And I do use a pencil a lot, but you know, if I'm working on a dark color, I dig out my white pencil. So between a regular pencil and a white pencil, that's how I do all my marking. Once I have it marked, and I mark all of my squares that I'm going to make into half square triangles, and I generally sew them all at the same time, but we don't need to do that today. I'm going to do the one. When I get to the end, I just lift it, turn, and go back the other way. I've made my seams. I split it. I go to the iron. I press. And of course, get rid of those little dog ears. In this case, I'm going to place it in my block, and these actually go towards the outside. There we go. That's their position. Now remember, an hourglass is basically the same thing. We start out with a square, a little bit bigger. Again, I mark my line from point to point, pencil. I've already got my line marked, and I sew exactly the same way. Okay, split, and then we're going to press. Said we walk through, so we take our, there we go, we take our half square triangle, again, get rid of the dog ears, I don't know about you, but I enjoy working with batiks. There's just something about them that I like. Okay, once we have our 2 half square triangles, now we flip them over so that we have opposite colors. Line up that seam allowance to each other, and you can feel it when it's nice and snug right beside each other. And again, if you're not quite sure, just pick a spot, put your finger down, and make sure that it is matching. Lay it back down. I don't like to pin because sometimes pinning shifts things, but I do have it matched up. And I mark it, and I gotta tell you, sometimes I mark it first and then I match it. Either way, I generally, as you can see, just use my pencil, mark it, get both sides. Nothing shift in the process. So again, time to sew. Get off the edge, there we go, so I can get it turned. Back the other way. Same steps as before, cut it in half. Sometimes if I have a big stack, I use my rotary cutter, but when I'm only doing one, I grab the scissors. Press it open, and you can see how pretty they match up on your intersection. Get rid of your dog ears. Place it in our block, and as you can see, it's the light this time goes towards the center. So we're creating, whoops, he's in the wrong place, towards the center, and we're creating the illusion that we have a square and a square. So once we have all of our pieces in place, as you can see, I've lined them up again. As usual, my sewing is I start at my top left, I flip the right one over in my column 2 over on top of column 1. And I will say this one here I did press, in case this happens to you. I have here both of my seams pressed the same direction. So what I do is I decide which one of those I'm going to change. And I decided I'm going to change it over to the brown. Oh, get my sticky off of there. So I press it back open, flip it, and then press it to the brown. And chances are all of mine are done that way, so I'll have to change all of them. But that's an easy fix, because I want to get those 2 pieces to fit nice and snug to each other. Back to the stitching. And again, like I said, and it happens because I make the judgment to press to the dark, and sometimes it doesn't always match up. Okay, I move those. I want to make sure that I'm going to put them together the right way. There we go. And we'll attach one more row So again, open them up. Don't separate them because they're all in the position you want. And add column 3. Open up. Grab from the right side, flip, so you know you're going to sew on that side. Line it up. Okay, line, there we go. I think with this you're getting the idea. Oh, my thread just broke, so I'm going to stop right there, but you get the idea of what we're doing. So finish sewing your columns together. Once you have them, open it up, and then flip one over and sew it. And then I just naturally push one left, one right on my seam allowance. When I'm done, I come back and press. But this way it keeps all your pieces together. Thank you for watching, and I hope you're enjoying our block of the month with our beautiful Marcus Batiks.